This week, we're highlighting some recent news from Xbox and PlayStation, including some announcements from CES. This is the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. I'm your host, Spencer, and with me is a man who's been ripping down the streets of Manhattan for the low, low price of $9. It's my co-host, Mike. Mike, how are the roads out there?
They're clear. It's working. So much foot traffic, so much little cars.
It's beautiful.
It's great.
It's beautiful.
As somebody who had to endure driving down 7th Ave over the summer and taking an hour to go a block and a half, I'll be interested to see what it looks like. I'm going to Manhattan next week, so I'll report back.
I look forward to the boots on the ground report.
I'm assuming this was a congestion pricing reference, right? There's not something else I'm missing?
That's it. Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is.
Okay.
Some people have some really passionate feelings about it.
People, yeah, especially people from New Jersey.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff like, taxation without representation is theft, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, I was definitely on the side of this isn't going to solve anything, and you're just costing people more money. Because like it's something that typically like you need to do, and I think like I haven't had the experience with like the MTA being like scary or unreliable. I've used it a handful of times in the past year, but like I know that stuff does still happen. Like it just felt like bad timing for all that going on, but I also think some of that's a little overblown.
Right.
But I was just reading a report, I think yesterday actually, and they said that like there were 75,000 less cars in the past week per day.
It's unbelievable.
Or some ridiculous number like that. So it clearly, I mean, at least right now, it's some degree of working.
I think it's so funny the people though who are like, yeah, the roads are empty. Fuck you. And it's like that. This is what they want. This is what they wanted though. Like, this is good. And people are like, yeah, now I'm not spending $2,000 a year to drive in Manhattan, and you're also not spending what, like $5,000 to $10,000 on parking as well. Like what? Like,
right.
So are you mad or are you happy?
Where are you putting your car once you get into the relief zone? What is it, like 50th Ave and down?
This is death by this is death by 1,000 cuts. Yeah, I guess this is the 1,000th cut, but what? Brother, you already endured 999. I mean, if this is what pushed you over, you should be happy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway.
It's interesting. Like, I do get the point that New Jersey is making. They're like, oh, you're just keeping all that smog in New Jersey. And it's like, saying smog in New Jersey is a little bit redundant. I don't think it's making it worse.
A little redundant, yeah.
And it's not like people are like driving to New Jersey and saying, oh shit, I don't want to pay congestion pricing, and just doing fucking laps of Newark all day.
Well, I actually think that might be what's happening, because what were people doing in the first place?
Just doing laps of Manhattan.
That's what I think, right?
Yeah,
I have no reason to believe, and now they're like, I can't do laps for $9. Fuck this.
Yeah.
I have no reason to believe it's anything other than that. Anyway, how are you? What games have you been playing? Have you started Luigi's Mansion? That's an important question.
I have not.
Me neither.
I actually considered bringing it while I was traveling this past weekend, and I wish I would have, because I ended up having a day to myself where I could have done some damage.
Probably being it.
Probably, yeah. So I've not started that, but I have been seeing how congestion pricing is affecting Manhattan in Spider-Man 2. And turns out it's a non-issue because there's giant piles of fucking sand in the financial district. So congestion pricing is not really their top concern.
Yeah, yeah. A
Wouldn't
giant
that be a funny thing though? Like you get a call from Kathy Hochul and you're like, somebody's messing up all of our congestion pricing radars. Go fix them. You just have to go around the city and fix all the congestion relief things, and all the New Yorkers are thanking you, and the New Jerseys, new people
flipping
from New
you off.
Jersey, like, yeah, they start a new villain.
That'd be
And it's just
fantastic.
somebody in poor health because they're congested from all the smog in New Jersey.
So you've been playing Spider-Man 2?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice.
So much of it. So I should have seen how many hours I have in it. It's got to be a lot.
Well, again, just so thrilled that you're finally playing it and enjoying it as much as you are. It's a very, very good game.
It's a fantastic game. I have 15 hours so far, which seems like less than I expected, but
still, it's that's a hearty amount to drop in a game.
Yeah.
I've unfortunately been slapped with the harsh reality of how much time I've already put into Metaphor.
Yeah.
I've just been ripping that game, and it's just so good. It's like it's firmly placing like Persona plus Metaphor. Like if I were to like combine them, right, as like just like a one series type thing, like, and to lump them all together, it might be approaching my Mount Rushmore.
Wow.
It's so fucking good. And like, and for Metaphor, I had like pretty high expectations going into it. So the fact that it's like hitting every mark for me is like great. Whereas like Persona, I didn't really know what to expect. I just knew people were, well, if anything, I had, I guess, lofty expectations because people don't shut up about how good Persona 5 is. And then I played it and realized, holy shit, people are right. But yeah, dude, it's so fucking good. And I have put so much fucking time into it. And the more I play it, the more I'm like, yeah, this is definitely something that like you could take a leap on. Like at the very least, I can confidently say Persona 5 or Metaphor. I'm like, you could take a leap on it, and I think you would actually really, really enjoy it.
Like me personally?
Yeah, yeah. Like you, Mike, co-host of the Good Game Bad Game podcast.
Was Persona 5 on Vita, or is that like a different version?
Persona 4 Golden was also a solid option. And Persona 3 Portable was on the PSP.
Okay.
On the PSP, so if somebody had a PSP Go that they had bought it on the store, they can download it on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm starting to think that maybe I did at one point. I should check and see if I can re-download it.
Yeah. But I've heard really good things about Persona 3 and Persona 4 as well, obviously. People who are fans of the series in general are obviously going to talk big about those as well. I've just never personally gotten around to playing those. I did play Persona, the first one, and Persona 2, and they're fine, but after having played Persona 5, and I think there's a pretty big jump from 2 to 3, it was tough to play through those. But it seems like 3 is a good one, and 3 got like 3 and 4 got ported to like current gen, and then Persona 3, if I remember correctly, just got like Persona 3 Reload, which is a ground up remake, I believe, of Persona 3 that has gotten a lot of like good recognition. So anyway, all that's to say, Metaphor is phenomenal, and I definitely think you could take a leap on it, and it's so good.
Maybe I'll have to do that.
Yeah, so I've been playing a lot of that, and Shelby and I have also been playing a lot of Power World, and that game is still just a fucking load of fun. And Oh, this is great. I think you're gonna enjoy this. Um, I also am finally committing to playing through the Zelda games.
Nice. Like
Never starting
the
from
original Nintendo.
starting from A Link to the Past. So starting on
Okay.
the SNES.
Okay.
I do
Great game.
have the first two Zelda games. Shout out to my papa. Um,
You
but
had like the one with the gold cartridge, didn't you?
yeah.
Hell yeah. I
Um,
remember that.
but so, and I do still have the NES, so I could hook it all up. But there's just something very nerve wracking about plugging in the NES and worrying about like the day that I plug it in and it doesn't work or something like that. So I don't.
Very easy to fix.
I'm sure. Um, but yeah,
The
so
hardest thing is you need that stupid Nintendo screwdriver.
of course, yeah. So we're gonna start on the SNES, and so the other thing is like Shelby and I are playing through them together, and we're doing it as a part of like my stream and stuff. It's like the thing that's replacing getting platinums. Much
Okay.
more refreshing, air quotes challenge.
Sure.
And the name of the stream series is Basement Gamers Stream to Completion.
Ah,
I thought you would enjoy that, but okay.
I did.
And yeah, so we're gonna play through all of them, and at least except the only one is the first two, and then the 3DS, because I have no way of figuring out a way to stream that without like really doing some convoluted stuff.
Mm.
But I went to play my cartridge of A Link to the Past, and it doesn't save. Like it doesn't maintain the save. Like if you turn the game off and turn it back on, like the save is wiped.
Did SNES have those cell batteries in them
They
too? Like
yes,
but
they
did they have to
do.
be soldered in?
I do believe. So I was like,
Yeah, that's tough.
I can take it somewhere and obviously have them replace it. And I'm sure
Sure.
it doesn't cost much and it's fine. But we were doing like a whole kickoff for it and stuff, and I was like, damn, like I can't. We aren't going to be able to do it because like there's no way we're going to be able to play it all in one sitting. And then I remembered that I have a Super Nintendo Mini or Super Nintendo Classic, and you better believe that A Link to the Past is on there. So we're being good. We're not using like save states or anything like that. We are like solely trying to just use the game as it's intended. And it's been a blast. It's such a good game, and it just has me so excited to play all these other Zelda games that I can't believe I call myself a gamer and haven't even touched them.
Yeah, the old like 2D Zelda games have a very special place in my heart, and like obviously that's translated to current gen because I don't really love the third person ones, but there's just something about it. Like I even got Justine to start playing A Link to the Past on like the Switch emulator, and I don't think she's still playing it, but she tried.
Yeah, I mean, I'm stoked. So like playing A Link to the Past, and then I have the Super Game Boy cartridge for the SNES. So I'm gonna pop Link's Awakening, and we're gonna play Link's Awakening off of the Game Boy.
Very nice.
And then I think if I have the order right, it's the 64 games. So Ocarina and Majora's Mask. I don't know the right order, but
I think Ocarina is first, then Majora's Mask.
And then back to the SNES Super Game Boy emulator to play through the Oracle of Ages or Oracle of Seasons. We're going to use the Game Boy adapter on the GameCube to be able to play Minish Cap. Like it's just I'm so stoked to like play through them all.
I have a save of Minish Cap going on right now, and it's so good.
Yeah, I just
so much fun.
I can't wait, dude. I can't wait. So we started playing that, and it's a lot of fun. We're both really enjoying it, and yeah, it just has us excited to play through the rest. And then continuing to play through the other old games. I don't know if I said it last week, but we started playing Breath of Fire, which is a JRPG from SquareSoft. You know, not formerly SquareSoft, right? And yeah, it rips. It's fantastic. Been having a lot of fun with that. It's actually SquareSoft and Capcom. it's really funny watching like turning it on and watching like the load-in screens and everything like that, and seeing that combination. But yeah, so a lot of old games, and then Metaphor.
It's a pretty good variety.
Yeah, I'm having listen, I'm having fun.
Good.
I think that's what
Sounds like more fun
matters.
than last year. I'm glad you're out of this dark place and can actually enjoy video games.
I still enjoyed last year. It was still
I know.
fun. All right. Let's talk about some announcements from our friends at Xbox and PlayStation. Starting with PlayStation, their CES announcements can be described can be summed up pretty easily with moving to the big screen. Basically, they announced a bunch of different adaptations that we're going to be getting for some of your favorite PlayStation first party games, and then some that are like, okay, sure, I guess. So it was announced that Ghost of Tsushima is getting an anime series. I think that's like been something that was like in talks for a while. I couldn't remember if like movie, TV show, what, but getting an anime series. I'm definitely gonna keep my eye on that. Just because I think like Ghost of Tsushima in general was just such a phenomenal game, and I think making that leap to an anime, makes a lot of sense, and yeah, I just have really high hopes for that. So I'm really looking forward to that. Helldivers is apparently getting a film, which I believe is just Starship Troopers. Right? Do I have that
Yeah, I
right?
think that'll be interesting.
Right, like it's Starship Troopers where they're like on the planet and they're killing the bugs, or is I feel like that's right. I feel like that's the right movie I'm thinking of.
Could be. Don't know that I've
And
seen it.
it's all just like over the top, making fun of fascism, and you either get the messaging or you don't. And that's basically Helldivers.
Sure.
And so that'll be funny. But Helldivers, the writing and everything like that for the it's all through just like announcement messages and stuff like that. Like it's not like you get like a ton of like like sit down and watch a cutscene story out of Helldivers, right? But man, is the writing just like so phenomenal, just like so on the nose. It's very good. I'm pretty excited for that. And then we're getting Until Dawn is getting a live action film.
Which I think we knew about that one, didn't we?
Yeah, which apparently that's coming out in
We were
2020.
like, oh, okay.
That's coming out in April. And yeah, I think we were like, yeah, isn't it kind of already just a movie? But
Right.
but sure. Um, that's coming out in April apparently of this year. And didn't we just get the Until Dawn remake, or like that's also coming out?
Was it on PC, maybe?
No. This was like on like PS5 as well.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know. I stopped caring because I was like, why do we need that? Anyway,
Yeah, I've candidly spent very little time thinking about it.
um, yeah. Uh, and then Horizon Zero Dawn is apparently getting a film, which is interesting. And then they also announced a Last of Us location-based immersive experience, which is in proof of concept, and also included like smell-o-vision, basically, like using like smell to to immerse you more.
Smell rotten mushroom people.
Yeah, and then people were bringing up that apparently Sony had a patent back in 2023 actually, where and we might have even talked about it, who knows, but where they apparently were looking at integrating smell through the new DualSense controllers that they have. And I think that's what ended up leading to Xbox doing the pizza controller for oh my god, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when that came out.
Yeah.
So anyway, uh
So weird.
like very very interesting, that like these are the boxes that like you can kind of push PlayStation into, and Xbox has like their own box that we're going to touch on here momentarily. And I think it's like really funny that like all the announcements are just like so on brand for each at this point in like where they're at in like, their business dealings and stuff like that. Like every single thing from PlayStation being turned into another media piece is just like, yeah, it's just like so on brand. What are some of your takeaways from these?
Are we going to get to the point where we're going to see Sony making TV shows and movies and then later coming out with the game to match the TV show or movie? Like, I don't know, just to call out The Last of Us. Like, are we going to see a third season of The Last of Us before we see a Last of Us Part 3?
Hmm. Maybe, but I like would question if they would even make the game in that situation.
I don't think they, like, my personal opinion is they're going to keep making the show but not make the game anymore.
Maybe, yeah.
Which, like, does that concern us?
Well,
I
I
guess it's something worth talking about. But
yeah. Or to put it in like a different lens, like what if the new Naughty Dog game is intergalactic, right?
something generic and spacey like that, yeah.
Yeah. Like, what if they hadn't announced that, right? And instead, PlayStation Studios was like, here's a new show we're working on. And it was just the like live action adaptation of like what that game is supposed to be, but it wouldn't be the adaptation. It would be the source. And then, Naughty Dog goes, yeah, we're making the game after the fact. Like, what if that starts to happen?
Yeah.
Because like building off of like The Last of Us is like, well, yeah, you get into like the Game of Thrones situation where it's like, well, obviously the show's going to be able to keep churning, I guess faster than a game that's not a good one-to-one necessarily, but like, things take different amounts of time, and depending on where people put their resources and all that stuff, so on and so forth. Like, you're already working off of something. I could see that continuing forward while something else, the other thing lags behind. But when it's from scratch, that's the interesting thing where it's like, could that start to happen? And would that maybe diminish the value and stuff like that? Because I think experiencing the games and then getting to see them in like a more like experiencing The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2 and just in general, like as a gaming experience, some of the best for me ever.
Mm.
Dare I say the best ever. But then I think of something else like Red Dead Redemption 2 or The Witcher, and I second guess myself. But getting to play something like that and experience it in that form is just something that like resonates obviously with me. But then also getting to see it adapted and contained and turned into a TV show that like so many more people are probably going to like more naturally turn to also like be able to consume and like enjoy the story is like fantastic. I love that pipeline. That is a pipeline I will like always be able to get behind, I think. Because it's very similar to like taking a book and then adapting that into a movie or adapting that into a TV show. Love it. I think that is great. And, I think like taking a movie or taking a TV show and then trying to turn it into a book or trying to turn it into a video game, I don't know. Like, maybe, but.
I mean, historically, it hasn't really worked. I mean, we think about the video game hell we were in for the first, I don't know, 12 years of the 2000s.
Right.
Like every movie had to have a shitty game that came out with it.
Right. That like is like specifically a tie-in, like, or like is specifically supposed to be one-to-one. Whereas like again, I think you can do 1-to-1 from game to movie or to show, but I don't think it works as well the other way around because
No.
there's so much just like there's so much just natural just cut out of shows that like your brain doesn't really like click with, and so like it just keeps moving, and like I think it works and it's fine. But in a game, I just don't think it works as well because it's supposed to be a much more immersive thing.
Right.
Um,
I think it'll be I think Sony has a very good pipeline here. So um I think we'll kind of continue to see what we have seen with like The Last of Us, where it just introduces uh more people to the franchise
yeah.
and to the story, which is cool. Um I'm really excited for, and I'm not a huge anime guy, but I do love the um almost like the companionship of video games and anime, like we saw with
Mm-hmm.
Cyberpunk and Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Like I just felt like Edge Runners gave so much to the lore of Cyberpunk, and it was in like just a really cool like design and layout. And um you think about games that have like a really beautiful environment like
Mm-hmm.
Cyberpunk, and now like with Ghost of Tsushima, I'm actually really excited for that.
Yeah.
And I think that's something I'll probably watch when it comes out. Looks like that's 2027, so still have some time, but I love like that the anime like side stories to kind of give more lore.
Yeah, and they've been like really successful too because you bring up Cyberpunk, you have Arcane, people rave
Hmm.
about the Castlevania anime. Like it does feel like just such like a natural companionship, like you said, between like going from the video game art to just like a totally different and like unique art in anime. And I think it's
Yeah.
like a really I think it's a really nice companionship.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see what this looks like. I'm also kind of excited to see where the Last of Us like location-based things come from, because I think my brother did the one in Orlando
Okay.
and he said it was really cool. I'm assuming it's going to be similar to that. Um just kind of taking it on the road. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think I do want to experience that. I think uh controlling a video game character is you know as immersive enough. Think about the fucking stalkers, right? Is that
Yeah.
the ones that like are like peeking around the corners of things
And then you run away
and then
and
they yeah. Oh dude, that like just playing that gave me so much anxiety. Imagine like having to like real life experience that. No, thank you.
yeah,
No,
I
thank
guess
you.
that's a whole thing.
But I'm a bit like I can't do like horror houses and stuff like that. You know, too much anxiety for the jump scare. You know, I can't just let it take me. Unfortunately,
Get that.
but yeah, this is. I think it's like I think it's cool to see in a lot of ways because again, it gets more people to like experience these worlds and stuff like that, and it's a nice touch. Some of them feel a little forced, but I look forward to 2026, the live action Days Gone.
Yeah. I'm sure I'll watch it.
I'm sure it'll be better than the game,
I thought the game was great.
and it'll give a Days Gone 2. It'll finally happen. But Days Gone 3 will be canceled because people don't buy Days Gone 2 at full price. All right. Shall we talk about Xbox's announcements, which again, I feel like very on brand for what Xbox has been saying for a while now.
Yeah.
So we got two things. We got uh, handheld, because of course at CES there was a panel that was the future of handhelds, which is very funny, and time is just a flat circle. And then we have Xbox doing a little nonsense with their cloud gaming. Which do you want to touch first?
Let's do the cloud gaming. I think there's a little less there.
Yeah, but nonetheless, so on brand for Xbox as they're bringing uh, cloud gaming to LG TVs as a part
Mm-hmm.
of the LG gaming. There's like a
If
specific
that's what they're
thing.
calling it.
Uh, they have like a specific. I thought they had like a specific like game thing already on LG TVs. And anyway, the Xbox Cloud Gaming app is going to be um like housed right within that. So if you're uh is cloud only available to Game Pass Ultimate?
Yes, at this
Okay.
point.
So if you're a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, you'll be able to access um the library of games. And then it's also was recently announced that Game Pass Ultimate members are going to be able to stream select games that they own that are outside of the Game Pass catalog as well, which is
You
a
can already do that.
yeah, but that was like a more recent development, right?
Yeah, like I think in December maybe.
Yeah. And
Or
like
it was announced in sometime October, November, but it started rolling out in December. I've been doing it with Star Wars Outlaws.
yeah, and I couldn't remember if we had like actually like talked about it that much or not. But like that's a fantastic like um addition. And like you just it's something that we've talked about so much. And I'm really happy to see Xbox really trying to stay the course with this plan despite a lot of
Mhm.
criticism, because it's such a phenomenal low barrier of entry to like be able to experience Xbox games and just like current gen gaming. um you can say whatever you want about them as a whole, but this whole concept of like anything can be an Xbox is rather funny, but also like fantastic. Like it's good marketing, and it's like no matter where you turn, no matter what device you're looking at, you are going to be able to continue to experience your Xbox games. And again, you can like think whatever you want about like Halo potentially coming to PlayStation and how weird that feels. But nonetheless, it's their plan. They're sticking to it, and I think it's a really good one, especially when you see its like combination with something like this. With a TV that you already are going to have for your other media experiences, and now just built right into it. All you need is a controller, and you're playing.
Did you? I have a specific point on that, but I have another funny internet interaction that happened. I'm not sure if you saw. Um, did you see at CES that LG was coming out with a microwave where the whole front panel of it is a screen?
I did not. No.
Okay, so that's happening. LG's making a microwave that has a screen and a webcam. Uh, the webcams for whatever reason. I guess if you want a video call while you're cooking or whatever, but it's like one of those range mounted, like above your stove
Hmm.
microwaves. And somebody had a screenshot of it and tweeted at Xbox and said, "Is this an Xbox?" And they just responded, "Yes." what what a weird world.
Yeah.
A microwave was just announced, and guess what? It's also an Xbox.
I think it was
Uh,
who's the Xbox community manager? Fuck, I can't think of his
um,
name, but he he like retweeted or replied to Jeff Keighley unveiling the 30th anniversary PlayStation, and this was right after Xbox's "This is an Xbox" campaign really like ramped up, and he was like, "Did you notice the Easter egg?" And he zoomed in on it, and like when you zoom in on the 30th anniversary, it's like the X or the cross, circle,
yeah.
square, and he just like put in really bad like Photoshop, "This is an Xbox."
That's funny.
It's so good, but
It's
it,
there's
it's
this
phenomenal.
whole thread of Yeah, it is, and it's just the way they're rolling with like the laughs of it too. Like people are sending like toothbrushes to Xbox and asking if it's an Xbox, and it's and to get back to your point, I'm also glad they stayed the course because you know cloud gaming came out like well it's been out for over a decade now, but like Xbox's version of it, came out around 2020-ish, and it was very much so like a niche, like almost like a hobbyist kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh and then it kind of came out as a way to like they were pitching it as a way to like try games before you commit to downloading it to your console, which was kind of cool. And now for them to like fully like they've committed. They say yes, we're going to keep using this server space to run this program, and say now you can play like this isn't just a demo platform anymore. Like you can play games here. This can be your primary gaming console. Um, Definitely really glad they've stuck with it. I've noticed recently that it's been a lot better. They did like ditch their app-based interface, other than like on smart TVs, like things where you need to basically have an app. All it's
Yeah.
doing is opening a web browser. It's been really good. I mean, like I've been able to play. I got a Razer Kishi. I think I said this, around Christmas time, but I got a Razer Kishi for Christmas,
Yep.
and uh, I've been playing games on that. Like if Justine is using the TV that the Xbox is hooked up on, especially with like Star Wars Outlaws, because uh, frankly, playing like natively on XCloud is better than streaming from my console, and that's more of a product of my internet and having really high ping.
Mm-hmm.
But uh, yeah, I'm glad they've committed, uh, and it seems like they've really positioned this to like they don't need to build specific apps for specific devices.
Yeah.
I will say this. I'm very annoyed that they haven't figured it out for Android TV yet. Because so they launched this on Samsung. Samsung runs its own uh OS on their TVs. I forget what it's called. Tizen maybe. And LG I think still uses WebOS for some of their TVs.
Okay.
But anything that's running Android TV, like I have all my stuff is Android TV, and they don't have an Xbox app for it yet. I'm getting a little annoyed because I want it.
Yeah. That is frustrating, but it's probably only a matter of time.
Yeah, I think the plan is to eventually get there, but I feel like it's probably a licensing thing with Android more than anything.
Yeah. I mean, I really do think that, like, you know, for again, for whatever shortcomings that Xbox has had, I think like I think they're so close, like I think they're so close to just like that moment, and like I for whatever reason, I just don't know if like the messaging is just not resonating with enough people, but like I just don't understand how like for a industry that is, you know, very much a luxury, uh, I don't understand how like this doesn't resonate with just so many more people, and instead people are like opting for, breaking the bank on a console, right?
Yeah.
um and are dunking on this and like acting like this is a bad thing and stuff like that. It's like, no, I think they have the right messaging. Like I think saying like you can experience Xbox literally anywhere is phenomenal. And who knows how long it's going to take, but once people actually like wake up to it, I think it'll be like a big moment for Xbox.
Yeah, I think people are just still pushing back on the gaming as a service model.
Sure.
Like people still want to own their consoles and their games, and as if they're not going to trade everything in anyway.
Right.
Like it's an interesting philosophy. Like, you know, you're mad about paying $15 a month to have access to hundreds of games on any device that you want, but you'll buy a console for $600. You'll buy, you know, however many 20, let's just say 20 games for $70 over the lifespan of that console, and then the new one will come out and you'll sell it all for pennies.
Right.
Like,
Again,
or you won't sell it at all.
again, gaming is a luxury. it is
Yeah.
not cheap either, right? Like it adds up, and sure, it's not normally all just in one large go, outside of normally like the initial console buy, but like it adds up. Like you said, 70 games if you or $70 games, if you buy 20 of those, that's $1,400.
Yeah.
That is a not insignificant amount of money. That is a
Yeah.
significant. That I think I did the double negative, right?
Not insignificant. Yeah, you're right.
Like, uh, yeah. So, uh, whatever. Again, I don't get why, and I'm saying this from the sideline. I'm obviously not following what I'm preaching here entirely, but like I guess I just don't understand how any of this gets negative spin. That's my biggest hang up, because I think what they're doing is objectively really good.
Yeah. Great news. You don't like it? Don't use it. Don't
A
pay the
hundred
fifteen
percent,
dollars a month.
100%.
Well, like for me to pay, and I know it's not. I don't even know what it is at this point. What is it? $18 per month for Game
Yeah.
Pass Ultimate.
Yep.
Like I think that's a pretty great value to be able to play games on my console, and then when I travel, like to be able to stream games.
Yep. And to now be able to stream certain games that you've bought that aren't even a part of the service. Like you're
Right.
not just beholden to the service, which is great. Like,
Yeah.
and the more they work to get that like built out, to account for other games, the better. But yeah. Um, and just to kind of add onto everything that Xbox is doing, obviously, we've known that some sort of Xbox handheld has been in the works and might be a couple of years away, but at CES, The Verge was able to talk to, make sure I get the name right, Jason Ronald, Microsoft's VP of Next Generation. And he has said that we should expect to see Windows handheld gaming experience change within the calendar year. And it's really funny if you uh, read through the article from The Verge. This is from Tom Warren and Sean Holster. Very candidly, they say at one point, right now, Windows sucks on handhelds, to put it rather bluntly, to the point that a community created fork of Valve's Steam OS experience can be a far better way to pick up and play games. Um, Very funny to like read that. It's something that I was definitely in the shadows on, and just kind of would have assumed that like like any sort of attempt at um using Windows on a handheld would be, perfectly fine. Especially as it comes to even playing games and stuff, because of the fact that Xbox is within that umbrella. So it's kind of funny to read that. But nonetheless, I think this is just another really exciting thing, and it's just another way that you can see Xbox, and just Microsoft in general, I guess, committing to this idea of like being able to, again, just like at all times you can be locked in with your Xbox games. Um, and I think that is just like a huge selling point and going to be a huge win for Xbox in the long run.
I think what's interesting to me on this is the parallels between handheld Xbox gaming and the creation of the first Xbox console.
Mm-hmm.
Because basically, the engineers uh, were trying to build a Microsoft gaming console out of like a couple of Dell PCs. And they're like, wow, Windows sucks for playing games. Like it takes too long to boot. And so they basically just stripped the OS down as far as they could, and it booted immediately and could play games and connect to the internet. And it kind of feels like they're following a parallel here with handheld gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think it'll be interesting to see. And I mean, you said like the community members made a fork of SteamOS to kind of handle it. Like that's been a really big community, and I think Microsoft is like actually trying to get some of those people to help either sell the. It's all open source, so I mean Microsoft could use it, but basically they're trying to get the community to help build this OS that they can use to build an Xbox handheld. Um, I think it's pretty cool. Uh, I feel like this is developing pretty quickly. I mean, Microsoft said, yeah, we're working on a handheld, and right now we just have all these partners working on uh, basically Windows handhelds for
Yeah.
gaming. Uh, but there's been some movement towards making a specific uh, gaming OS. I think it's exciting. I think on top of you think about value add for Game Pass, and if you buy one of these handhelds, I'm assuming if you have Ultimate, you'll be able to play pretty much anything on it right away.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm really stoked by this. Every now and then I think about like getting one of these Windows native handheld. Like I was really interested by the Lenovo one
Mm-hmm.
that came out at CES. Um, I also kind of just want to wait for like the native
Sure.
Xbox One.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, think about like think about this like this pattern, this like this vision that they have, right? Where it's like you can buy a handheld. You don't even technically need to, because with the cloud gaming, you'd be able to technically just use your phone or something that you already have. But you could buy a specific handheld, right? And then you could put that down and you could pick up a controller and turn on your TV and go to the Xbox app and start playing your game on your TV. Like you can do it all without a console, which makes it more mobile, which means you can, again, just take this all with you, right? Like this experience. Um, and still have like the like switch effect, right, where it's like you can dock it and then it's on the TV, right? Like you can just
Mm-hmm.
pick up and play on almost, it could get to the point where it's like almost any smart TV will likely be able to like work, fairly seamlessly with it. And uh, it's just it's such a solid, like, again, vision that I think is fantastic, and I just don't think enough people have for whatever reason come around on it. And again, when it happens, it's gonna be massive.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely will be.
And I think like this is everything that Xbox has been doing has been like good, and I believe smart pivots into just where they fit within the gaming landscape. This constant like console warring, right, and like going up head to head versus PlayStation, and you know it's baffling that like it doesn't matter. Like PlayStation can spit in your face, and people are going to keep fucking buying PlayStation consoles. It doesn't matter, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that is like how the competition and the industry and everything like that has just been carved at this point. And it's just going to keep running like that. And like we've constantly talked about how great of a position Nintendo has continuously put themselves in now. And they've always kind of just done their own thing, and it didn't work with the Wii U, but then they did it with the Switch, and they're just not in the middle of the Xbox PlayStation shit. And
Yeah.
I think like the more PlayStation and Xbox can just carve themselves away from like strictly like, oh no, like we are the brutes and we are against each other, and instead just like figure out what it is that they do and do it well, and just continue to do that and not worry about what the other one is doing. That is going to be better as a whole for gaming. I think the more we get like these like, you know, it's easy to sit here and be and like commend Xbox for opening up their library and bringing it to the other consoles and stuff like that, and be like, yeah, great job, and all while PlayStation's not doing it. But as soon as PlayStation does it, if they do it, like they at least do it with PC, it'd be great if they actually did it with the other consoles as well. But as soon as that starts to happen, we'd be better off for it. I've long been, basically since Xbox really started to roll this out, like I've been just such a champion of it, and I think it's such a great idea, and I do want to see more parity in like the the gaming space of doing stuff like that. You can be locked behind timed exclusives. You can do whatever you need to feel like you still get your best value out of it. But at the end of the day, how is it better to like withhold those experiences from everybody?
Yeah, and it's a
Especially
hard
old
battle.
experiences.
It's a hard battle too because, when I think of PlayStation, I think of definitely like the best like blockbuster content.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's hard for me to say the best content because it's objective, and I might argue that Nintendo has the best content if you're looking at like pure video games, but
Mm-hmm.
like storytelling wise and like the way games work and the cohesiveness like across all the different developers that fall under them is really good, and it kind of makes you think that that's Sony's primary advantage over Microsoft. But they still have the marketing too. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I my first instinct is that Sony will never put like all of their big games on Xbox, and that PC is really even a stretch
Mm-hmm.
because that's their advantage. But I mean, we've talked about it endless times on here. How many people are buying like the PlayStation 5 was like a status symbol, much like people see iPhones and they're buying them just to play 2K.
Yeah, NBA, Fortnite, Call of Duty.
Right.
A
All these
thing
games
that
that
you
it
can
doesn't matter
play.
that you have.
Exactly. Games that you can play on literally anything, and the experience is, you cannot convince me.
Right.
I
You can't
refuse to
tell me
believe you.
that 2K plays better on a PS5 than it does on a Series S.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think we're kind of these things are falling into these good niches where like Nintendo's going to continue being Nintendo, like you said, and they're going to have the classic experiences. They have the IPs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think there's any expectation for that to kind of go away, or like Mario's not going to be on PlayStation anytime soon, at least. They've got that classic like every household has a Nintendo kind of mindset, but they're also not selling their consoles for $600-700 each.
Exactly.
Hopefully. And then Sony's, like I said, got like the blockbuster. They've also got the good marketing. So when people want a status symbol, they want a PlayStation. Uh, and then Xbox, I think, has the advantage of being a major tech company where they can kind of take some more risks, and they can start pulling at least Sony into their direction with you know having a good cloud gaming infrastructure, having a separate operating system and like hardware partners that can make things for them, and they don't necessarily need to do um the R&D on a
Right.
private label handheld. Like, I don't know, I think they've all kind of got their thing right now, and I almost kind of think that's how it's going to continue, since Microsoft has definitely gone all in on creating like high-tech experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big fan of where things currently stand.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how like we continue to like grow out in these directions, and how the paths will like naturally kind of divulge into each other and stuff like that. And um yeah, I want to see more, again, just a lot more like parody and more togetherness with stuff. Not, it does, everything doesn't need to be uh you know me versus you
Right. As long as there's
with this
enough
stuff.
competition to like
Drive
keep
change.
growth.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's
100%.
enough.
100%. Um yeah. Anything else that you wanted to touch on?
No.
All right. Just to do a little uh housekeeping to let everybody know where we're at. Um this episode comes out on the 16th, and according to, I believe, Video Game Chronicle, it's believed that today, if you're listening to it, the day this releases, is the day that Nintendo is actually going to reveal the Switch 2. Now, allegedly, or the Switch successor. Allegedly, there won't be much else shown in terms of like gameplay and stuff like that, but we should actually be getting, some concrete evidence that this is a thing outside of just like a trillion leaks. It just so happens that Mike and I need to pre-record next week's episode that comes out on the 23rd. So we are going to be recording that on the 17th, hopefully after the announcement is made. But, stay tuned for next week's episode where we will either be talking about, the actual reveal, as well as like going into maybe some of the stuff that we've seen and trying to deduce whether or not or what we think is true and all that stuff, or be prepared for us to start hammering Nintendo for still not showing us anything, and instead leaving us to the leaks. And it'll be funny when that episode comes out and Nintendo actually does the announcement like next Monday or some shit. So stay tuned, but that'll let you know. That gives you a glimpse as to why next week's episode is what it is, in case things happen. But other than that, as always, thank you so much for listening. That'll do it for this week's episode. If you could do us a favor and leave us a rating or review wherever you do listen to the podcast, that would be greatly appreciated. You can go over to the YouTube channel and you can leave us a comment on your thoughts on all of the PlayStation to TV / movies adaptations that we're getting. Also, let us know your thoughts on Microsoft's and Xbox plan moving forward with this Xbox. This is an Xbox. That's an Xbox. Let us know your thoughts. Other than that, if you could share the podcast with a friend, that would be greatly appreciated. And we will talk to you about Nintendo next week.